Hey friends, welcome back. We finally get to talk about our calendar grid. We have some really interesting things going on with our calendar grid this month. So I'm going to give you a sneak peek of what yesterday's marker looked like. And we're also going to look ahead a little bit today because we want to see what's happening, what patterns are being created. And in order to do that, we'll need to look at the very first 4 markers. So we're going to look at a couple markers today so that you guys can get an idea of what's happening with our calendar grid patterns for this month. So without further ado, let's look at our very first marker. And here it is. Just take a moment and make some observations to yourself about this marker. And I challenge you to use as many math vocabulary words as you can when describing this picture. All right, so what are you noticing? Awesome, it has an area of 5. Do you guys remember area is the space that's taken up inside of a shape? So we have 5 square units. Awesome, what else do you notice? Oh, it does look like an upside down U. You are very right about that. Anything else? Yes, you can fold it in half. And if you fold it in half, it's exactly the same. Does anybody know what that's called? Yeah, it's a reflection of the other side, okay? There's another word for it. It's a 3-word phrase. Line of symmetry, right? So this shape, anytime you have a shape where you can fold it in half and each side is perfectly matched, we call that a line of symmetry. And some shapes have 1 line of symmetry and some shapes have more than 1 line of symmetry. Good observations. Let's look at the next one. Right, here it is. Right, make some observations. What do you notice? Yes, it still has 5 squares. So an area of 5 square units. You got it. What else? Is anybody noticing that we have some parallel lines? We have some perpendicular lines. We also have some intersecting lines, right? So we're getting into some of those geometry terms that you may have used last year in 3rd grade, and we're going to try to use them this year as we are describing our shapes. So we have a 5 square unit shape that has parallel lines, it has perpendicular lines, and it has some intersecting lines. Do we see a line of symmetry in this shape, kind of like what we saw here? No. Do we have, so that means we don't have a reflection. And is it shaped like a U? No, it's not shaped like a U. All right, so now I'm going to reveal all 4. We look at all 4 because our goal is to try to figure out what patterns are being established for this month. Okay, so does anybody want to share what they're noticing? They all have the same area. You're right, they all have those 5 square units. But what's different about them? Yeah, they have different perimeters. You guys remember what perimeter is, right? Perimeter is if I were to add up all the sides, that would be my perimeter. So this shape has a perimeter of 3 plus 2, which is 5, plus 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Perimeter of 12. This one has 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Do they have different perimeters? This one has 5 plus 5 plus 2 is still 12. So the same area and the same perimeter. Wow. All right, well, I need some help. We're going to mark up on these markers. The very first marker, since we talked about the fact that you could fold it in half and it would be exactly the same on both sides, which is, what is it called? Right, line of symmetry. Very good. So we're going to mark the line of symmetry, and I need to know, where does that line of symmetry go? Where would I mark it? Right here. If I were to fold it along this line, just about, then it would be a perfect match. Perfect line of symmetry. All right, let's look at the second marker, and now we want to highlight the perpendicular side. So I'm going to choose a different color, and we're going to mark the perpendicular side. So I first need to ask you, what is perpendicular? Right, so perpendicular is lines that intersect, form a right angle. So we have a lot of perpendicular lines here, and hopefully Ms. Trammell will get them all. So here is a perpendicular, here's a perpendicular line. Here's my right angle right here. Here's another perpendicular line. Another perpendicular line. So we have a right angle here, we have a right angle here, we have a right angle here. Another perpendicular line is formed here. It looks like all of these lines, this whole shape is full of perpendicular lines. But do we have one here? We do. Because here's our right angle, 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 right angle. We have lots of perpendicular lines in this shape, and I'm gonna show you where our right angles are. Here's a right angle. Here's a right angle. Here's a right angle. Right angle. Right angle. Getting the hang of this. Right angle and right angle. So hopefully I got all of them. We have a lot of perpendicular sides in this particular marker. All right, let's look at the next one. Vertical parallel sides. How many vertical parallel sides do you think we have? How many? Well, let's count and see. And before I count, I also want to point out that we could have highlighted some perpendicular lines within the shape, because the square has 4 right angles, and so we would have a lot of perpendicular lines if we were to do that. I only focused on the outside, so if you were able to count more by looking at the inside of the shape, that is awesome. Okay, so let's now count our vertical lines, vertical parallel lines. And, you know, parallel lines are going to run in the same direction forever, no matter what direction, it's the same direction. So here would be parallel lines. Okay, and I'm going to mark it like this so that you know that these two lines are parallel to each other. Here's another set of parallel lines. We're only talking about vertical parallel lines today. So this will be our second set of parallel lines, vertical parallel lines, and then this will be another vertical line. So this would be our third set of vertical parallel lines. Now, my first thought was that I could mark this whole thing as a vertical line, which I could do because it is vertical. So if you see this whole side right here as a vertical line, then that is perfectly okay, which means you may have counted 1, 2 sets. Since I separated them because of how the shape is constructed, then I was able to count 3 sets. Okay? All right, let's look at the fourth marker, and this time we're gonna label how many horizontal parallel sides we have. How many horizontal parallel sides do you think we have? Yeah, that's an easy one, right? We just have 2. Horizontal means you're like laying down. We only have 2, unless we count the ones that are inside. So this line is parallel to this line, which is also parallel to these lines right here. If I were to count the lines inside the shape. Okay, so now before we look at our calendar observation grid, let's just talk really quickly about some of those words that we've been using to describe shapes. What are some useful words that we need to use or think about this month when describing our calendar markers? Good. Area. Perimeter. Right. Parallel lines. Perpendicular lines. Yeah, lines of symmetry. Awesome. We also have some intersecting lines here. And intersecting lines can or they don't have to form 90-degree angles. But we do have lots of 90-degree angles because we have some squares, so we'll have lots of perpendicular lines. All right, so now let's look at our observation recording chart, and let's see about filling that in. Okay, so the date is 12/1, December 1st. How many sides does it have? And when you're thinking about the number of sides, I don't want you to think like we're counting perimeter. I just literally want to know how many sides it has. Right, it has 8 sides, and the perimeter we already figured out was 12 inches. Okay, what is the area of this shape? Right, 5 square units. How many lines of symmetry does it have? Just had the 1. Does it have parallel sides? Yes. Does it have perpendicular sides? Yes, it does. Let's look at the marker for December the 2nd. How many sides does it have? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It has 10 sides, but it still has a perimeter of 12, and we counted that earlier. We also know that the area is still 5 square inches. Does this shape have a line of symmetry? No, it does not. But does it have some parallel sides? Yes, it does. Does it have perpendicular sides? Absolutely. Yes, it does. And we remember, and we can see here what it means to have a perpendicular side, what it means to be parallel, and also what line of symmetry is. Okay, let's go to our third marker. How many sides? Let's count. Good. 12 sides. What is our perimeter? Still 12. And our area is still 5 squares all put together. Does it have line of symmetry? And if so, how many lines of symmetry can you get from this shape? So this shape actually has 4 lines of symmetry. Line here, here. We can also do a cross or lines in the middle. So horizontally, vertically, and then diagonally. So we have 4 lines of symmetry for our third marker. Does it have parallel sides? Yes. How about perpendicular sides? Yes. Yes, it does. Right, and let's look at the last one for today, which is December 4th. How many sides? 4 sides, and our perimeter is still 12. Our area is still 5 so far. We've had the same perimeter and the same area. How many lines of symmetry does this shape have? 2 lines of symmetry. Does it have parallel sides? Yes, it actually has 2 pairs of parallel sides. Vertical, so that's one pair, and then horizontal would be the second pair. How about perpendicular sides? It has 2 pairs of perpendicular sides as well. So here would be one, and here would be another perpendicular side. So we have perpendicular, and we have perpendicular. We have 2 pairs, so that would be 4 perpendicular sides total. Okay? Right. Great job today. We will continue to update our calendar marker every day, and then we'll update our calendar grid. So have a great rest of your afternoon. I'll see you guys tomorrow.